Yeah, on the side. Let's turn that off. Or here, let me. It might do closed captioning while I talk because we're recording it, but either
Okay.
way, we'll go into this. And then you guys, just to make sure, it says that I'm sharing, but you guys can see the three line block and then this flat face to the right of that, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, cool. Awesome. So yeah, we'll just go into this. So yeah, like I said, we're gonna go into these two. This is our brochure, right, of what we send out to the market. And this is one thing that I had to figure out. I'm pretty sure you're on the same page with this, Andrea, but obviously in these three line blocks, when I first started at Faster, I thought we literally just put these flat face into the blocks, but actually, it's what we have is our skid steer cartridges where it has an ISO 16028, I don't know, like connection point is what I would say, but it's its own standalone skid steer cartridge, right? And then every skid steer in the world is going to have this block or the five line block or our previous block. So really any skid steer in the world is gonna have, and feel free to interject too, Andrew, if anything pops up.
Yes,
Um,
sir.
but yeah, but half inch what you'll predominantly see, right? But as time has went on, we're seeing more and more high flow attachments. So instead of this 4FFH08, it'll say 4FFH12, right? Um, and with the relationship with Doug, you'll have the ability to source this and the flat face. I imagine that you guys are already probably sourcing flat face since that's, pretty readily available. But with Doug's relationship, you guys will be able to source these skid steer cartridges, I believe cheaper than or around the same price of OEMs. So you
Right.
guys would be able to start selling to local skid steer, either equipment houses so
Mhm.
what we've seen, as long if a Bobcat dealership is not owned directly by Bobcat, it seems like they have more autonomy to buy spare parts. So they will see more value in someone like you guys offering these. Um, Dealerships that are owned directly by the OEM, either Bobcat, John Deere, Mustang, whoever it be, we've noticed that they don't have as much autonomy for buying
Oh,
spare parts.
right.
So they normally buy through the OEM, right? Just as you and people have more conversations about this. And then that's like, you'll predominantly be using a half inch.
Mhm.
You'll be connecting a half inch skid steer cartridge with a half inch flat face, right? Um, how our block is designed, if there's any pressure on the machine side, there's already internal valving that will relieve the pressure.
Mhm.
So in a normal situation, if there's pressure on the machine side, our block has already been manufactured to relieve that pressure. And I'm going to show you a video here in a second how that works.
Okay.
However, if there's any residual pressure in the attachment side, that's where our block does not mitigate that pressure, right? So if it's larger than, I'd say, 75 to 100 psi um, of residual pressure in the
Mhm.
line, it's not going to be very possible for an end user to quote unquote brute strength
Right.
connect, right? So if you're and like I said in this video that we show here, it'll be a couple videos. It'll show you how to make sure you're getting the pressure out of the line on the equipment side. If
Okay.
there's after you do this or after you do that process and there's still pressure, that tells me that the end user would probably need to source one of these three FFHs, which the three just signifies connect under pressure, right?
Okay.
Um, that's the general overview, and I'm pretty sure you're familiar with all this thus far, right?
Right.
I'm just going to show you a little bit more now. We're just going to go into like the video section. So one moment. Oh goodness. Because it puts the teams when you share, it puts it right up at the top, and I can't hardly see my tabs. But so this is just a general overview of like what a normal connection looks like, Andra. But what's different is on the attachment side, the regular flat face, as you can see, the male is elongated. That's a connect under pressure male. So no matter which side pressure is deriving from, we'll have a solution to take care of that. But this is just going to show kind of a cutaway of what happens when there is a connection. You probably know what's going on here, but I just want to, I just want to make sure we cover all bases. So Andra, you see in this video where, so there's the connections made, right? And this is normal. Now see on the female side,
the female, insert.
You see there's a little give there. That give on the female side, just a little movement in the fitting, that's where the pressure is being relieved on the equipment side.
Right. Okay.
So, and then I'll show you another video that details a little bit better, but
yeah, this should have a cutaway, right?
Yeah, they're gonna do that right now. So it's showing pressures in both sides of the application, right?
Right.
And just so you're aware, Andra, that's what? That's like 35 MPa, which is what, Andrew, like 7,000 PSI, or what is that? It's a couple thousand. Yeah, so there's, in this particular example, there's 5,000 PSI of pressure in the attachment. And one thing with Faster's flat face, you can connect up to 5,000 PSI of residual pressure. So there will be no amount of pressure that's in the line with our fittings that you can't connect, right? And I'll just show it again since I was talking. And then just for your reference, Andrew, right? So this right here is the outer shell that we saw prior. And the actual part of the fitting that's moving is internal.
Right. Yeah, because there's like 3 pieces to it.
Yep, and it's this blue valve in the back, right, Andrew?
Yep.
Yeah.
It opens
It's
up
just this little
there.
space. Yeah, that little channel. So the reason why I keep kind of harping on the connect under pressure feature of our cartridges, so our patent has expired and there's some other brands that have skid steer cartridges that you can put in our manifold.
Right.
If you use the other brands, and you can tell your customers this as well, you will lose the ability to connect under pressure on the female side. This channel and this valving, it's not present on our competing skid steer cartridges, if that makes sense.
Right.
So that's a general overview of what a normal connection looks like with the cutaway. Do you got any questions thus far, Andrea?
Not that I know of.
Okay. I wouldn't really foresee you, but I just wanted to give you a space to, if you can.
Can I answer this call just real fast?
Yeah. It's a perfect time to do that.
Sorry.
No, it's all good. I need to figure out how to. I was sharing the screen. I guess Microsoft has updated it where you share and you can still see the view. There it is. Yeah, I can still see you guys in the bottom right.
Oh, got it. Okay, yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, it is. I mean, just sometimes, especially when you're in sales, right? You feel like you can just be drowning on. You don't know what's going on, at least see if people are engaged.
What is this video showing?
This is the jack video I showed you.
Oh,
okay. Yeah, it's more like an in-person view.
Yeah.
And then the
troubleshooting video is pretty long, so
it is very long. That's why Yeah, that's so we'll piece it apart, but the troubleshooting one is probably gonna be the best. Hey Doug, good to see you, brother.
Hey, Corey.
How's it going?
Yeah. Oh, well, it's been better, but I'm here for now.
Yeah, you didn't miss anything that you didn't know. We just were showing her a general overview of, the three line block and then our flat face. Kind of what happens when they connect. I showed her how the connect under pressure valving, how it internally works. And then we were going to go into more real world examples. She had a call. So um it's actually perfect. You kind of stepped in right now. And then Doug, also with us on this meeting is my application engineer, Andrew Trumbull. Just so you guys can
Yeah,
meet.
we met before. How you doing, Andrew?
Mm,
Good. Are you?
yeah, that's right. I forgot. Right when we first started working together.
I figured you were relatives to Tyler Trumbull, who used to work for us. But
no relation, I don't think.
yeah,
Yeah, Doug, I think, sorry.
go ahead.
I said, I think my cat like loves your voice because she was dead quiet and then you popped on and now she's, now she's making noise. Every time I talk to Doug, she's always like really loud in the background, Andrew. So this is kind of funny.
That makes no sense because the cats hate me. The dogs, I mean, if I want to, I have to go pick them up. They won't come.
That's funny, man.
So, that
Where are you at right
personality. I'm in between Gadsden and Chattanooga,
now? Okay.
headed
So
to
Tennessee.
Chattanooga.
Okay. Nice. I was hoping you weren't hurricaning it again. Did that affect you much the other week or not really?
No, nothing for it was 1,500 miles east of us.
Yeah.
But yeah, it affected a bunch of people though. Gosh, that was horrible. And this one
Yeah,
coming
yeah.
today is going to
It's supposed to be worse. Oh.
be
And Andrew, if you are running low on time, we can always skip this video and go straight into the troubleshooting one.
Yeah, I'm looking at the troubleshooting one right now. It's got some good.
It's got good stuff. It's just in, no offense, broken English. So there's parts we'll have to emphasize for her because like when I was looking at it, so there's two different things. Stefano's not that great at speaking English, and then also he's really technically gifted, so he'll glaze over really important features, right? Um, that
Mhm.
that I'm like, hey, we should highlight this. So
Hey, I was down at Sun last week. I shared that Apex video with a couple of the engineers down there. They're like, "Oh, this," because they didn't really know what they had. They got a warehouse full of it, but they don't know what it is. They may not have any Taimi, but they have pretty good stock of faster in the warehouse there.
yeah, that's good. I was hoping that's why I was wondering too. I was like, I wonder if he's in Sarasota this week because I knew you had to you were doing that training.
Yeah, it was last week. Driving around in a convertible. This week it'd probably be flying around in a convertible.
Yeah. I'm hoping
I
nothing
think
happens to
they
any of the
closed.
property.
Yeah, they closed all the facilities, and they're all. I heard someone said that Sarasota had a 6-lane highway, and it was all pretty much empty. Everybody had kind of left.
That's good. Heard a bunch of people in it was still going to Disney and all that. I mean, as much as early as yesterday. So
It'd be a great day to play golf because there'd be nobody out there. Just a
yeah,
little slight breeze, kind of cool it down a little.
yeah,
Get in one last round of golf before you take off.
yeah,
Probably play in 2 hours because there's nobody on the course.
yeah. So okay, cool. And then as you see, Andrew Doug made it, so we're good.
Hey,
So yeah, I'm just
Hey,
gonna do
Andrew.
this.
hello.
So this video it's kind of repetitive of what we just did. It's just this is a kind of it's not kind of it's a video version of it, so you can see actually in the field how it goes. So what you see right there, Andrea, that's the that's the money movement that I really
Right.
want you to see, right? So what he just did by pushing that fitting in, that relieved whatever pressure is on the machine side, right?
Okay.
And you can do that. Does the machine the machine has to be off, right, Andrew? Or can you, it
I mean,
doesn't
as long
matter.
as there's no pressure flowing through those lines, I guess I wouldn't
Okay.
recommend it with pressure, but you know.
Yeah, you usually want to do this
I
with
would
the
definitely
machine
do that.
off. So you make sure that there's no active pressure, right?
Mhm.
But you can do that
Yeah.
on the male or the female. Now the case drain does not have that, correct, Andrew?
Well, right. The
The
pressure relief just
3/8.
drains pressure through the case drain.
Yep. Just so you know, Andrew, if you would get any sort of question about that. So
Right.
in what he shows, I'll show you.
Is this a feature on all the three section manifolds?
Yes, 3 and 5 as well. Yep.
Yeah, it's on the 5-line block though, only two of the lines are these actual decompression cartridges. So if you're trying to connect hoses to like the 3/4 lines, you have to push in the 1/2-inch lines to decompress the entire block, and then you can connect. Because the 3/4 lines are just standard couplers; they're not these decompression cartridges.
And
I
I'll
have an
touch on
order.
that.
I have an
Sorry.
order to place for a 3/4 three section one.
Yeah.
And so it'll be the case drain is the press and release.
The case
So
drain
that's
is the
the
one
No,
that
it
does
doesn't
not.
have.
that's for the 5-line. In a 5-line block, it
Okay,
operates differently. But in the 3-line block, it's still those same two, either the whatever
Okay.
cartridges you have in there.
What he
Okay.
just touched on, Andrea, I'll talk to you when we do the 5-line stuff. I just don't want you
Okay.
to get confused. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he didn't
So-
show like I expected, but you know how the 3 lines are, Andrea. The
Mhm.
first is the male, then the case drain, the bottom is the female.
Mhm.
The male and the female both have the ability to where you can relieve pressure with you pushing it in. The
Mhm.
case drain does not have that. I just want that to be clear. I'm gonna send you a screenshot of this, which is just telling you what I told you. Yeah, you have a question?
Is this for all of them? Like, basically with the what did you call it? The whenever it has like the 3 in the front.
Yeah, it's three
Okay.
line. Yeah, 3-line
Okay,
block.
that's what that's. Whenever you're like calling it out, I thought that what do you say? It's like the difference in between the FH or the 3
Yes.
FFH. Both of
Yep.
them do it. Okay. Sweet.
So that 3 and non-3, that's for all the any skid steer cartridge that Faster makes
Mhm.
has the ability to connect under pressure. It
Okay.
has this give feature that we're highlighting here.
Understood. Okay.
Yes, but our flat face, which you're taking from the attachment connecting to that,
Mhm.
that does not have the ability to connect under pressure.
Okay.
Standard. But we're gonna touch on that here just in a second. I'm just trying to make sure that you know what to do with on the equipment side, and then that makes it much easier to figure out what's going on the attachment side, right?
Yes.
So hold on, I can't see this very well. So yeah, with what it's showing, it's saying faster cartridges, the push-in movement that we just highlighted.
Mhm.
Muted, Corey.
Oh, sorry. now, so it's highlighting that with the feature that we just showed you, the push-in feature, faster cartridges relieve pressure on the machine side, right?
Mhm.
So in this particular example with the black band, that's the 3FFH. So what it can deduct and what now that you know can deduct, there's pressure on the attachment side, most likely. That's the reason why we're using this
Right.
black banded
Mhm.
3FFH. A lot of the questions that you're going to have are going to be from people using standard flat face that has pressure in the line. They need to buy this first.
Right.
And
Okay.
the way that you're going to figure that out is how they just showed you, where they're going to, at
Push
first, the
in.
machine's going to be turn the machine on again. If or do not turn it on. You can turn it on or keep it off, whichever. But if it's still not connecting, that means that there's residual pressure in the attachment side that's more than 100, 200 psi, where your end user cannot brute strength it and connect it, right?
Mhm.
So, but we'll still keep going. I'm just trying to connect it for you. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
Trying to quick connect it for you.
Yeah. So if there was pressure in this line and there's no black band, they wouldn't be able to connect it. So they would have to
I
go
see.
to you and buy the black band one, which you would go to Doug and already have.
Mhm.
That's it, really. This is just telling you what I just said. Hey, if you leave your attachment out, there's going to be residual pressure. And I'll also send you screenshots of all this stuff too, right? And
Okay.
give you access to the video and all that. But I just want to make sure you don't, So yeah, they're illustrating that there's pressure in the line. This is literally the exact same experiment that we did on that previous video. This is just real life. And then you see how the female side moved and it released the pressure on the female. Since this is the elongated male, that means it's a 3FFH, and that on the attachment side, you can relieve pressure. Does that make sense, Andrea?
Yes. Mine,
Okay.
I think mine's like just now caught up to um where it's like going forward, I guess. I was stuck on like I don't really know, but like the video was stuck on like 104 for like a long time.
Oh,
So that's why
okay.
I'm like
Okay.
I don't know. I was just like nodding my head like sure, like
Okay, so 104, it's just so you're connecting. So the attachment side that's the female in this one,
mhm,
right? So
mhm.
all I'm showing you down here is the attachment has the
I see.
male instead of a
I see.
female.
Okay.
And then so,
Yes.
and not every brand. So most brands will use this black band to signify connect under pressure on the female. Not all of them, but some of them.
Okay.
We will definitely, but every brand, when you see a longer male than a standard, that's connect
Yes,
under
that's connect under
pressure.
pressure. Okay.
Yep, yep. And what you just asked, that's exactly what I'm here for, right? Like any questions you have like that, there is no quote unquote dumb question. It took me years to figure all this stuff out, right? So I'm trying to get you caught up in like 30, 45 minutes, right? So that's the general that's like what a normal connection with connect under pressure flat face look like in the field, right? What you're
Mhm.
gonna see, and which I wish that they did a video of, but they didn't, majority of what you're gonna see is not going to have the elongated male, is
Right.
not going to have the black band. It's going to look like this, right? It's gonna look just like
Mhm.
this.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
may not be zinc nickel plated, but yeah, it'll and that's like I said, that'll be usually the first thing. Hey, you probably need to connect under pressure on your attachment side.
Mhm.
But you'll have them, perform that check that we just did. Turn off your machine, push in the
Yeah.
fittings. Now go and try and connect. Oh, you can't connect? Okay, then most likely you need to take your current standard
Yeah.
flat face and sell and buy one of these.
See.
Easy switch. So now we're gonna go into if it's not an easy switch, right? So this video was put together by our head of engineering at Faster. His name's Stefano. Really smart guy, right?
Mhm.
But there's two things with Stefano. His English isn't that great, and he's almost so smart it can, like I was telling Andrew, there are important aspects and features that he points out, but he designed this system, so it's like
Yeah, he's
he'll
like,
just go through. Yeah,
I already
so
know this. Yeah.
this is a 12-minute long video. I'm gonna stop at certain points. I'm not gonna try to take the whole time, but this is what we'll get into certain scenarios when I see leakage off of this side. This is how we can fix it, right? And I'll also send you this video, and after this, I'll give you notes based on the video, right?
Perfect.
So he's going to detail 1, 2, 3, 4 different scenarios where there is a fitting leaking, and he's going to tell you how to diagnose it. So the first one, okay, it's right here. So what to do if you see a male cartridge leaking when it's disconnected. So that's where we'll start. And please interrupt if you need at any time.
I don't hear any audio from the video.
You can't hear?
No,
No. Were you hearing music in the last video or not?
No.
No? Let me stop sharing and share again. Ah, that's what it is. Share sound. Okay, I think I got it figured out. Tell me if you can see it now or can hear it now.
yes.
Okay, perfect. So when the male cartridge is leaking and there's no connection, right?
You could, for instance, notice with the machine on or off, and the block here is not connected to any hydraulic attachment, you could experience a leak of oil from the male cartridge here. Well, you should.
So he's saying there's two types of leaks. He's going to first show us the first type of leak.
First, notice if oil drips from the front valve or from the back of.
So you get that, Andrea? So there will be leakage from the nipple or the tip, or there's going to be leakage more near the equipment, near where his finger is, which is kind of like a wrench flat, right? So those are going to be the two main leakage points you see on a male. A male is different than a female on how we can address this leakage, but here we go.
Cartridge, because if oil spills from here, you need to make a specific maintenance to the seal that is behind this valve.
So if you see leakage coming from the nipple of a male, it's possible to change the seals. And I'll sell you and Doug will sell you a seal kit. They come in packs of 10, and then you do it with these tools and change the seals, right? That's if there's leakage coming out of the nipple, the tip. Oops.
So you have to retract this valve, block it as the video shows in the window, and then take a look.
You guys
Remove
get it. You have to change the seals.
Replace with service. If oil drips.
So now he's gonna highlight if oil is coming from the equipment or near the
From, for instance, this part of the cartridge, or even from back from the rear. In that case, the root cause for the leak could depend on a failure of internal O-rings, which are not serviceable components.
So if you see a leak near the equipment, near the wrench flat, it's most likely from internal sealing, and we can't replace that. So usually if you have an end user that has leakage from around the fitting, that tells me they need to replace the whole entire fitting. Yep. Yep. And you can always, you know, because most likely you'll have them in stock, you can always sell them a seal and be like, hey, I'll sell you this seal, no problem. But it's not going to fix your problem. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So
Right.
on the male, there's two different types of leakage. You can do the seals on the male. On the female, how it's designed with that, where it has just a very small pathway, even on a flat face coupler, you're not able to change the seals. But he's going to go into that next.
In that case, it's necessary to replace the whole cartridge, but it's quite easy to order the service part, which comes into.
When Doug orders them, it'll come with that cartridge and a flat face. You'll have the ability to order just the cartridges or the flat face. But all he's saying, if there's leakage coming out of the tip of the male cartridge, you can change the sealing on that. If it's coming from near the equipment, quote unquote, near the body by the wrench flat, I would still try to see if it can mitigate the problem by changing the seals, but most likely you're going to have your customer buy a whole new cartridge. Okay. So that's leakage out of the male cartridge with no connection, right? Now we're going to go into leakage out of the female cartridge with no connection. It's a little bit different because you're unable to change seals on the female. And like I said, I'll give you notes of this as well.
Another situations that could happen is that you see a leakage from this cartridge here, the female one, when it's disconnected. So what to do? At first, you should verify that it wasn't just a temporary problem caused, for instance, by some particle of contaminant affecting an internal seal just for a while, and then the flow of oil has washed out.
So this, to me, Andrea, I think this is going to be very important to tell your end user as well, right? So he's saying we see leakage out of the female. Let's make sure it's not just from dirt or particles in the system, right? And then so he's going to give, and that's why I'll make sure to highlight when he talks about this and how he does that. So then you can tell your end user, you know, this is what you need to do to make sure that it's not just contamination, right?
Right.
That particle. To verify that point, you should get into the cabin.
So hop back into the skid steer, turn on the machine.
Turn off the.
Now, this is what I've never used a skid steer, so I don't exactly know how this works, and maybe you can answer, Andrew. But he's saying use the joystick and pressurize the controls.
Machine, act on the controls and pressurize this cartridge. First, you should do that at a quite low pressure, like 5 bar or 70 psi or so, for 2 or 3 minutes. And then making the same at a higher value of pressure, like 100 bar or 1500 psi.
So is it possible to have your skid steer to manipulate how, you know, what the working pressure of the system is going at, or because that's what he's making it sound like you can do?
Sure, Andrew would probably know better than me, but
I'm just wondering. So I'm
I'm
wondering
sure if you don't toggle it fully.
Most of the
yeah.
time, that's what it kind of confuses me, because most of the time there'll be like trapped air inside of the joystick if you're like, and so but he's saying to put pressure onto. So I'm guessing that you're just putting load onto it, like you're basically just like toggling it to.
Yeah,
put
that's
load
what I
in.
was gonna
So,
say, because I doubt there is like a button, like press this button to run 100
I mean,
psi.
if you, well, that's what you've got all of your like gauges and that kind of stuff. So I guess if you're going forward, like using your joystick, or you're like moving up your blade,
You
then
can
you're
see
going to
it.
put the pressure. Yeah. The
Okay.
expected pressure that he's wanting.
Okay, because that's the only thing is he's wanting you to, in my mind, use the joystick a
Basically
little bit. and then just move it a
hydraulic
lot.
fluid through. Mhm.
Yes, yeah. It is, if that makes sense to you, that's where I'm saying where my weakness of not really being in the field using skid steers, right? That's what's
It's just
coming.
weird to me. Yeah. The
Because
thing
it
that's
makes
weird is
he
like
makes
most
it
of the
sound like
time,
you could press a button like, oh, this is 1500 psi, and it's not. I don't think it's like that, right?
most of
So
the time it's like I feel like you would try to get the air out. So he's saying to put, I guess to clean out the system, he's wanting you to put, I don't know.
he wants you to move the
This is his
joystick.
world.
Right, right, yeah.
So
Yeah.
And that's why
So
I want to make sure if it makes sense or not, right? Because I mean, this is the biggest piece of the video, one of the bigger pieces. Um, but yeah, so if that doesn't make sense, we can figure out another way as well.
Then, after that, you turn off the machine and you can verify if there's yet the leakage.
So yeah, he's just saying do that whole process that he, offered, jiggle the stick a little bit, then jiggle it a lot. Then after that, get out of the cab and go see if there's still leakage. If there's still leakage, you need to replace the whole entire cartridge. He's gonna say
Or
that
not.
right.
If there's no longer leakage,
You fix the problem.
you fix the problem. It was just a temporary problem. But if the leakage is still there, then you have to replace the whole cartridge. And there is a specific service.
So just all you need to know, Andrea, is if you see a leak on the female side, do the joystick technique, which I guarantee most of the end users have done before they got and called you anyways. If the problem still persists, totally replace the female. If they're still unable to connect, then replace the attachment side with 3 FFHs.
Part, you see one here.
So we don't need to hear any more about the female, but just know if there's a leakage out of the female, it's different than the male. It can't be serviced. Try the joystick technique to relieve the pressure in the line. If leakage is still there, replace the whole entire female. If they still can't, we'll figure it out. So this is what to do if you see.
So
What's that? Sorry. Oh, I
I
must.
say it sounded like he's claiming that contamination could be causing that from seating and closing. That's why it might be leaking. So if you got one grain of sand that's in that sleeve somewhere that came from the machine, and it's just, it's a hard material and it's not letting that sleeve fully reset, he's saying pressurize it and you might be able to flush that thing out. It's like flushing out a piece of dirt in your eye,
Yeah.
You hit it with a little bit of pressure, hit it with a little bit of more pressure, and hopefully that releases the piece
It'll
of
clear.
contaminant and allows it to close. If it doesn't, then that's not the problem.
Well, in most cases too, Andrea, they've already tried that, right? By the time they call
Right.
you. Yeah, I just want to make sure
Probably
I'm on the
not.
same page.
Probably
No,
not. Let's be honest.
okay.
Probably not.
Okay. Cool. Well, at least I'm helping you
Most
with
of the time,
something.
hey, it's leaking. Yeah. Hey, it's
Yeah.
leaking.
Yeah.
And there's no further.
Okay. Well, cool. So then we can help you with that. So that's all leakage without connection. Now we're going into connections and there's leakage coming of one side. So
Okay.
now it's connected and we see oil leaking out of the male cartridge, right? So in this
Okay.
situation, you're connecting the flat face to the male cartridge. The male's leaking.
you see some leak when the hydraulic attachment is connected to the machine. So
And as you can see, he has a hydraulic hose, so he's trying to replicate an attachment.
we have hoses with the coupler connected to the auxiliary hydraulic blocks. And let's analyze first the situation where the leak is here between the male cartridge and the coupler. The chances are, in this case, that the root cause of the leakage is in the shaped seal that is behind the front valve of the male cartridge, as we saw before. So you turn off the machine.
So if it's connected and you see, it looks like there's fluid coming from the male side of the attachment, turn off the machine, unconnect the hoses.
and disengage the hose. So just rotate the sleeve and then push to release any trapped pressure and
So you see how he does that?
Yeah.
He gets it set to release, pushes the trap pressure in.
residual pressure, and then you just disconnect.
The push in is the key, right?
So now the problem is likely here, as we saw before, and you repeat the same maintenance we saw some minutes ago. Just retract this.
So if you don't see leakage unless it's connected, but then when it's connected and you see it coming on the male side, act as if it's just like it was if it was leaking without being connected, right? So try to get him to change the seal. If it's coming from more near the
Right.
equipment, change the whole cartridge.
Valve and block it and replace the seal and the backup ring. If you still, after doing that, see the leak, so it means the problem was not in that seal.
So what he's saying, right? Change the seal of the male. If that's still not working when you're connected, you might have to change the entire cartridge.
And so the problem could be either in this cartridge or in this coupler here.
So in him pointing that out is one thing I'd like you to point out your end users. Like 95% of the time, they need a new skid steer cartridge. Most likely they hit it on something while they were doing something.
Right.
And we talked about this in August. They were going to need to replace the flat face that was connected at the time of failure. Yeah. I remember you saying like, yeah, that makes sense because obviously they were together. The valving's compromised. But just if you do have a situation like that and they're talking about, I still have problems, you probably need to get a flat face too.
Here, I suggest first to start replacing the whole
Go
cartridge.
to the source. Okay.
Yeah, but I mean, this is where you can kind of you can have ownership on what you'd like to say, right? So the cartridge is going to be a lot more expensive than a flat face. If it's possible that the flat face is compromised, if it's me and Andrew, correct me if I'm wrong. What I would do as an end user, if I see that there's fluid coming out of that side, I'm going to change the seal on the male cartridge, right? And then if that doesn't solve the problem, then I'm going to go buy a flat face. If that doesn't solve the problem, then I'll go
Then
buy a
you're gonna buy the
cartridge.
cartridge.
But
see.
I'm not going to, the flat face is much easier to source and it's way cheaper. Is that a bad idea to tell her that, Andrew? Or
I mean, if there's anything you can do, like pressurize the line to see if the female coupler is leaking at all. But when they're connected, the male and the female coupler, that seal in the male coupler at the front, that's what's responsible for sealing the connection.
okay.
Right.
So
And
if they're connected and they're leaking, it's that frontal seal that's not fully
and the-
connecting.
How hard is
And
it
we
to
do
change
see
the seal?
what's that?
that's the one
Say
that's
how
pretty easy. You can that's the only seal that you can change in these couplers. You can just press in that front nipple and then pull it out and change it. So
in
that's
most
the seal that most often fails, and it's also the easiest to fix. So it's kind of convenient.
So it's not like an hour. I was going to say if this is complicated and hard to do, just go buy a cartridge.
Yeah.
No, it's pretty straightforward. A couple minutes if
yeah.
you have the right tools.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure. I'm glad that y'all are like telling me all of this though, because like anytime that one of my guys is going out there, I'll send them with like a seal kit, and then both like female sides, and then also a cartridge, so that way it's like, hey, no
If it's
matter
not
what,
this,
you got it. Yeah,
right.
like
Yeah. The only other thing I would say is bring them out with standard and then bring them out with connect under pressure flat face as well.
Yes.
But I mean that'll mitigate almost any issues right there, and that's the thing. If they're having problems from the male side, then bring your guy out with a connect under pressure female, a standard female, the seal
Yes.
kits, and then If it's coming from a female side, then you don't even need the seal kits. You got to replace the whole thing, sir. And the nice thing is that rule stays the same on flat face. So a regular flat face, you can replace the seal on a male. You can't do that on the female. And the main reason being is just there's no channel to put your tools in on the female. But so now I think he's going to talk about a little more detailed version. Actually, he's probably going to say you got to buy a whole new cartridge.
And try again. I hope the problem is fixed, but if not, that means the problem was here. So you should.
So he's just doing it in different order, right? So what he's advocating for is if you see fluid on the male side of the connection, he says change the seal. Then he says buy a whole new cartridge if that doesn't work. And then lastly, if you still have a problem, do the flat face. I'm saying an end user is most likely going to want to do it in the opposite way, right? They're going to want to. It's just really hard for them to get these cartridges. They're more expensive. You can find flat face, right? So I don't want to inundate you anymore but that's what happens if it's connected and you see fluid coming out of the male side, right? So let's do the opposite.
Experience
And then
instead.
What's that, Andrew? Sorry.
And if it was me, I would you can pressurize the in the disconnected state, you can pressurize the block, and if it's not leaking, then it's probably the female coupler. But we do see cases where the seal is damaged enough to where when it's connected it'll leak, but when it's disconnected it won't. Just how the seals seat and connect. Sometimes you'll get a seal that's like just only slightly damaged, so disconnected it won't leak, but as soon as you connect it, that male seal will just be busted in the right way where it'll leak a little bit. So
I think I know the answer to this, but I just want to make sure Andrew knows. If someone is to test to pressurize the equipment, all they would do is just turn on the equipment, use the joystick, and not push in the fitting, right?
Yeah, you just add pressure in that line, whichever way you toggle the joystick.
And then at that point, if there's
leakage,
leakage,
attachment.
Right. And if there's leakage, it's going to be coming out, right?
Yeah, if you're pressurizing it should be leaking.
Yep. So if you're by yourself, right, the machine's off, turn on the machine, use the joystick, get out of the machine. If you see leakage from the fittings, it's there. Most likely there's going to be another person, right, where when you're using it, they can see if there's leakage. But I'm just trying to give you as much of different scenarios. I've sold this stuff a really long time, and there's never been anybody that's really wanted to go into this much detail, right? So that's why, we haven't done this, but I mean, I think it's good.
Leak here between the female cartridge and the coupling. Well, you can act in a different way.
It's
Again,
not that much
turn
different.
off the machine and disconnect first. So
same scenario, it's connected, but the female cartridge is now leaking, not the male. So turn off the machine, disconnect your attachment.
Push just to drain oil.
And remember, always when you turn off your machine and disconnect, before you disconnect, push the fitting in on the equipment side to relieve the pressure.
And then simply disconnect.
If you don't push that fitting in, Andrew, it's going to be really difficult to disconnect anyways, right? Because there'll be pressure.
It can affect.
First,
that's not to disconnect
operation
the pressure too, just for the seals and stuff.
Yeah.
Just to do is, if you have another hydraulic attachment with same coupling, you could test the other coupling.
That's a pretty good idea.
Off the hose.
So yeah, that makes it real easy, right? So just try a different attachment if you have that. In most cases, that probably is the case, right? Or no?
Of the other attachment here, turning on the machine and verifying if there's leak or not, because if there's again a leak of oil, well, the problem is here for sure.
Same thing.
In the female cartridge,
I didn't understand what's he saying.
A leak of oil, well, the problem is here for sure.
So he's saying try a different attachment if there's leakage Oh yeah, then it has to be the cartridge, not the flat
Yeah.
face. Okay.
Mhm.
It with the proper service part. You don't show any longer any leak, then the problem is for sure in the first hose.
Okay. So yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense. Does
And-
that make sense to you, Andrew?
Yes.
Okay.
And more precisely, the problem is
And then, I mean, I don't know if we need to go any further. What it just comes down to is, like you said, if you switch and the leakage is still there, there's no question. There's no seals that we change or anything. On the female, we just do a whole new
Exactly.
one.
You got to do. Mhm.
Yep.
Just that seal in the front of the male coupler, that's the primary suspect usually. So
Yep.
just always check that. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's
And then, like you said too,
basically everything.
further, you could if you really wanted, you could change the seals on the males, just to make sure that wasn't the problem. But pressure or fluid will be coming from the attachment side if the male attachment side needs change, if seal needs change, if that makes sense, right?
Right.
Um,
Right.
and then generally, Andrew kind of snuck it in, and I'm pretty sure you're aware, but always tell your end user if you ever disconnect anything on a hydraulic system, make sure the system is turned off, right? Because if it's not, then you can blow seals out, whatever. But yeah. So is it, I mean, you'll probably have questions after the meeting. You can,
Yeah, probably, but
yeah. And
right
I know,
now, I mean, it makes sense. Like, I mean, it's just I feel like now it'll just be like more particulars, if that makes like
yep. And then
so.
if there is a time where you get into a situation, call me, right? You'll have my info now.
Mhm.
And I'll put that
Yes.
in. But yeah, so what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna recap everything we went through. I'm gonna give you the notes on the stuff that we talked about, and then I'll give you
Mhm.
links to each of these videos so you can do it for yourself, right?
Thank
Um,
you.
but yeah, so I just wanted to make sure that you knew, you knew everything you could as far as when you would get these inquiries. And then also with your guys' equipment as well. So,
Can I ask something that like maybe you have or I don't really know, but basically my question is whenever you're like say I'm actually like ordering the parts, do you have like a breakdown of like basically the coding system of like, hey, this equals this, like the 4 equals this, the 3 equals this, or like does if that makes sense, like a
yeah, I can try to put one together for you.
just a
They're just,
little
the
like
problem is we don't have a ton of hard and fast rules.
okay,
So you're mostly
They
going to
have
be
they
dealing.
have a catalog, the full size catalog, not the, the
yeah, yeah, yeah.
condensed.
Hmm.
If your guys,
The full catalog will show you everything, and it gives you a description of what it is, what the
Right.
the threaded connection is, and what the size of the quick disconnect is.
Hmm.
That's
yeah,
the only thing I've
I just
seen.
was wondering if there was like any kind of like that type of thing because that way it makes it um like a reference guide, I guess, for me because then I can be like, okay, you know, especially with the body size being different than the actual like hose size. I know that probably I don't know how to explain that very well,
oh, I
but
get it.
Yeah,
You'll have a dash
it's a jump
08 fitting and then a dash 12 SAE
mhm,
uh thread, right? Yeah.
right.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
that's why I'm saying like, and I guess not getting them like interchanged, where I'm like,
Mhm.
okay, well, this is the exact opposite of what I was needing, because
A
I was
lot of
thinking,
me, a lot. I'm having an internal battle to not tell you all this stuff, but you've learned a lot in the past hour, right?
mhm,
Let's do a separate meeting where I can explain that stuff to you.
okay, sweet,
And that meeting will take 15 to 30 minutes, but
okay,
you got enough going on in your head right now.
yeah,
And then, but let me, after this, so my action items, send those screenshots, notes, send you videos, and then I'll get you an event invite set up late next week for just 30 minutes for that? Okay.
Mhm.
Uh, and then
Do
I'll
you have
invite
any?
you.
Do you have a case of those catalogs?
I have a catalog. I don't have a case, but I have one if you want, Andrew. I'll send you. Yeah.
Okay.
And that'll be easy
Yeah.
too, because yeah, I'll explain this to you and then you'll have something to follow up
To
with.
actually, like, yeah, to reference to see.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
that's
left me
good
one
feedback.
catalog in, but I didn't want to.
Yeah,
I've
that's what.
managed not to give it away to anybody yet.
If you need more, Doug, I can send you more too. You want me
That's
to?
what I was about
Yeah,
to
if
say.
you
I've
can
got,
send me a case of catalogs, that'd be good. I don't know how
Oh,
many's in a
great.
case, but 10 of them or something like that.
Yeah, I'll send you as much as I can. Yeah, so. And then if you want or Doug, will you just drop Andrews off for her, or you want me to send her one?
Yeah. And we can sit down and go through it.
Cool.
Sweet.
Awesome. Well, sorry this took longer than I expected, but
No,
I
I
really
appreciate
appreciate
it.
your interest in it. And I'll get you those screenshots, the notes, send you the
Perfect.
videos, and then we'll get a event set up the following week to where I can go through the part numbers.
Perfect.
We don't have a hard and fast part number system, so I don't want to be like, yeah, so we
Oh,
do
this one is
this,
gonna mean,
and
yeah.
then sometimes it's like this, and that is just,
Yeah.
you'll get confused, you know. So, yeah.
Yeah, I can see if I have anything on hand that's
I was gonna
applications
say
anything.
Andrew
That's
might.
that's part of my role is to create materials like this. So that's really good feedback, and we'll see what we can. I think we can do a pretty good breakdown of
You
what
want to be
all
involved
the
in that?
different numbers. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's probably good if Andrew does, because I'll tell you my system, and sometimes I forget stuff. So,
Hmm.
Yeah.
well,
That's
cool.
just like,
Well,
that's kind of how I like, serial numbers. They'll have exactly like what they mean, if that makes sense. I actually have
Yeah.
a picture.
no, I
Give
know
me just one
exactly
second.
what you're talking about.
Can I
I
see
don't
your
want to.
binder for a second?
Yeah, and we have a lot of our stuff has a good explanation behind it. We just don't always tell people why the part
Right,
numbers are
right.
written that way. It's
And of
kind of
course,
you need like a decoder to figure it out.
yeah, of course, I want to know the exact like why behind it, because that's the only
It
way I
helps you
can
remember
make
it.
sense of it. Exactly.
Yeah.
To see like how this is like
Yeah.
done. I like
We have stuff
that helps
similar.
me. So because then I always have a reference guide too, where I can be like, okay, this is how it looks, this is what I'm needing. And so that I can actually be able to say to you guys, like, hey, like, it looks like this. I know that even if I don't know the beginning part or the ending part, y'all can like help me with the in between. If I don't know if that makes
Yeah,
sense, but
no, it totally
Mhm.
makes sense. Doug's also, for not selling our stuff very long, he's really good at kind of decoding that stuff too. So, but yeah, we can help that with that. So,
It's very simple. I before E, except after C, except
That's-
whenever we decide it's the other way.
yeah,
exactly.
exactly. Yeah, unless it's
And
ag, then it's a whole different system. So.
Yeah.
yeah, so you're just working with flat face, right? And mainly
No,
these
they do ag too. That's why I
Mhm.
was. This is why I
that's
don't
a
want to
whole
go in.
nother
Yeah, I don't want to mess with this, Andrea, because I'll confuse you. So essentially, we
that's a
have two
whole nother
systems
monster.
though, one for ag and one for construction.
Flat face
So
is a little easier than the ag.
way
in my
easier.
opinion,
Yeah,
but-
yeah.
Yeah.
So,
No, but it's
Okay.
both though.
yeah, we'll figure it out though.
Yeah,
So
we'll get it.
That's a little more.
cool. Alrighty. Well, I'll send you all that. And I'll send the event invites, and I'll keep Doug and Andrew as well involved in it. And then
Perfect.
yeah, so just let me know if you have any other questions or anything pops up. And then yeah, we'll be could we also, I remember you guys saying you're using super swivels for your giraffe equipment.
Yes.
Can you you actually don't have to cross anything. Can you just give us the parts that you're currently using, and then we'll
Yeah.
see what. And that was the only other thing I had thought of. So then we'll get you quoted. So I'm gonna focus on sending you this stuff first, and then we'll quote all the flat face line, all the skid steer line, and the seals. And then if I was you, Andra, I would become like the caps queen. Anybody that talked to me, I'd be like, why aren't you using caps? You know, because
Okay.
that's gonna save a ton of problems for them with the
Mhm.
corrosion.
Right.
And just so we didn't forget about it, I remember that first problem that you had where the customer had one that was connected and wouldn't disconnect.
Hmm.
Andrew believes that that's from corrosion. I mean,
Okay, yeah, and that would make perfect sense too because yeah, I mean these are out all the time. They're not parked up underneath anything. They're just out. So
yeah,
um,
yeah. And I
yeah,
mean, and that's why I don't know, because I remember you and your dad were like, we can't just tell them that it's corrupt, but that's really what it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'd be
I mean
interested what coupler wasn't able to disconnect. Was it a female coupler or
I
I don't
remember
remember.
it.
Dad would know exactly, but
I remember it was like a
uh,
male, but I don't know.
it
Yeah,
probably yeah probably, but I
but
don't
that thing,
remember.
I remember it being rusty. It even
Yeah,
it was like,
yes,
yeah. So
yeah, but I don't
you
think
know,
it was like one of you like
no, it
yours.
was. I
It
remember it
wasn't
being like a Parker or something,
okay.
and it was
Either that or
connected
the
to our block, but which that's
yeah,
probably what you'll see
what
the
cartridge
most.
was it connected to? That'd be what I'd be interested in. Was it a
Yeah.
female competitor coupler and then
yeah. I'll ask him exactly because I know that he'll probably remember.
so it
But
would probably be like usually the male cartridges or couplers, they don't suffer from corrosion as much. The females with all those locking balls and the moving parts.
right,
The female coupler would be what I would suspect.
And to further
That issue.
confuse you, Andrea, but I'm gonna
for
just put
sure.
it in our notes. So around like 2000, we switched to the current skid steer cartridges that we're using. Skid steer cartridges older than that, older than 2000, older than
Yes.
1995. There's a different cartridge that's utilized in that block. It's still faster. We still manufacture it. In those particular cases, I'll be able to flag that and be like, hey, this is, you need to buy this old one, but I'll put that in our notes, but don't worry that much about that. You will see that very rarely, but it will be on older skid steers, like older than 2000, older than
Hmm.
1995. So, yeah,
Okay.
but cool. All right, I think that's really it. Obviously, this is a start. I'm gonna give you the resources to where when you follow up on this type of stuff, you'll be good. But then I'll also give you, my contact if you would need to reach out to me or Andrew. Um, so do you mind if I
So,
give her your email, Andrew, or would you rather
No,
go
yeah,
through me?
that'd be great. Yeah. You're
Cool.
my cell phone number too.
sorry,
That's what I'm here for.
Cool.
I
All right.
definitely just sent y'all all a email. So
That's okay.
with the part numbers.
Perfect. Awesome. The super swivels.
Yes, sir.
Okay, cool. Well, thank you very
Yes,
much.
I'm still working on a list, by the way, of the all of the different, I guess, the blocks.
Oh,
Nightmare,
okay.
absolute nightmare. So,
Oh, really? The blocks.
like,
Like, yeah,
are
because
you like your different like cartridges that are inside of the blocks for all of the different like skid steers and the excavators and those like all of those, if that makes sense.
it should be all the same cartridge, just different configurations, right, Andrew? Or
The cartridges are all interchangeable.
are you not seeing that though, Andrew?
The the cartridges inside. Okay, for the different like the different manifold blocks.
Here, let me share my screen and hold
There's
on.
some 3D models too. Like you got
There.
the old versions or the new version. And
And
then
then
the new version
and,
can either be 1/2 inch or 3/4 inch or male or female. So
Okay,
okay, sorry. So you're talking, well, why won't it let me get out of here?
but there's like
Here, hold on. Okay. And let me share this. So So the cartridges themselves, these guys,
mhm,
they should all fit in every single block. Even if the block doesn't look exactly like
okay,
this, they should all be the same. They should all
okay. Then
they should
the
all
all
take this. Yeah.
the males and females are what are changing.
No, nothing's changing. No. See, that's why I shouldn't have brought it up. So don't worry about this is what we're going to be standardized on. There's nothing that back in 2000 it's the same. It looks the same except for instead of zinc nickel, it's yeah.
Okay,
But don't worry about
Okay.
that. I'll know when
Okay.
I'll know when you have an old one. It's
Okay.
very rare you even run into them unless you are. Do you run into a lot of people with older equipment?
I mean, yeah. People
Okay.
are still
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
people are still
Well,
using 2001, so
I just don't have a ton of marketing info on that, but it looks the exact same, Andra, except for it's not dark like this. It looks silver
okay.
like this. It would be the same
Okay.
color. But it's very if I see something, I'll be able to diagnose it pretty quickly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have any pictures of the differences, Andrew?
Of the older version, or
Yeah. I would give her that at a later date. Might be something we can compile for you, just so
Okay.
you'd have all of that.
but yeah, for all the newer blocks, all the cartridges are fully interchangeable. So yeah, you just need to know if it's male or female, or
Okay.
In
if
the older
it's
block, it's not like there's different. It'll just be the old version, male or female. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
but
But
yeah,
I'll
then you can do different configurations of threads, or well, I guess different configurations of some blocks will have two females very rarely, or they'll have the drain line will be a female, but everything's pretty interchangeable.
Okay.
So we'll do that part number breakdown, and then also I think we'll be able to have some pictures to show you the differences between the two blocks at that time.
Okay.
Do you think this time next week, Andrew, we could probably have something for her?
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
I have pictures in my archives of the old ones that I can show at least. But okay, I think we'll be good with that.
Perfect.
But
All
either
right.
way, I don't think you'll run into a ton of old stuff. Sorry, Doug, what was that?
Oh, I'm just pulling into Chattanooga, and every electrical maintenance vehicle in the eastern half of the United States is stopped on the interstate going the other direction. I'm like, oh boy,
Mm,
it
man.
is
Uh,
I
just
hope I
a
hope they're all
sea of,
right.
yeah. But I am pulling up to my call here, and so I'm gonna have to hop off.
Sounds
Send me
good.
those catalogs if you would, please.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yep. Works for me.
All right, Andrew and Corey and Andrea, thanks.
Yeah,
Sorry, I
thank
was
Thank
you.
you.
Yeah, thanks for getting us all together, Doug.
technically challenged earlier. Couldn't get it to work for some reason. But anyway,
It
you,
happens.
you guys have a good afternoon.
You too. Yep.
You too.
Bye.
so,
Alrighty. I think we're good. Andrew, don't worry
Okay.
too much about the old cartridges. I just don't want you to get confused. So
No, because realistically, after that, I mean, even if it's a 2001 machine, it would have had to have been updated. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, yeah.
I
No,
feel like over the years.
it's very. I deal with people all over the country. I'll get one or two a year on the old
Okay.
ones. Yeah, but
Excellent.
I mean, it'll happen now that I said something,
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
yeah, but
It'll be
cool.
fine.
All right,
We'll get it figured
but
out.
let me get you these resources. I'll send the event invite, and then
Okay.
Andrew will be involved in it. Just make sure we're good. But yeah, cool.
Perfect.
Thanks so
All right.
much for your
Awesome.
time, and
Yes, sir.
we'll go from there. Oh, and you sent
Awesome.
the super swivel stuff. Let me
Yes,
just
sir.
while I got you, I'll just make sure I got it. It took a lot longer than I expected. Okay, cool. Super swivel part numbers. Thank you. Alrighty.
Yes, sir.
Have a
Awesome.
great one, guys. Thanks for your
All right.
time.
Thank y'all.
yeah,
Bye.
Yep. Bye.
thanks.